When you think of haunted places in America, what comes to mind? Maybe a historic hotel, or a house with a tragic history. But what about a witch's curse? That's something straight out of a horror movie, right? Well, not if you ask the Bell family. They endured a terrifying haunting that was blamed on a local witch, who placed a curse on their family for stealing her property. And the crazy thing is, they were tormented for years, even after she died. So what happened to the Bell family? What did the witch do to them? And most importantly, why does it still affect them today? Stay till the end to find out how you can break free from any curses in your life. Let's get into it. Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today we will be discussing one of America's most terrifying curses, the Bell Witch Curse. Before we begin, I would like to thank our supporters. Be sure to join us and support our work. If you want to hear more stories like this one, don't forget to subscribe. The Bell Witch haunting is one of the most documented supernatural cases in American history. It is said to have taken place between 1817 and 1821 in Adams, Tennessee, near the Kentucky border. During this time, John Bell and his family were living on a farm when strange things started happening. First, there were footsteps in the attic. Then objects started moving around. And before long, the family was being tormented by scratching and shaking. As time went on, the haunting only got worse, and eventually someone had to do something about it. John Bell was a successful businessman who owned a large farm and grist mill. He was also a veteran of the War of 1812. Everyone in town respected him, so you can imagine how shocked they were when news broke that he and his family were being haunted. Some people thought it might be a publicity stunt, but that theory quickly disappeared when one of the Bell children died suddenly. This wasn't a normal death. The child's body was found floating in a nearby lake, despite the fact that no one had been near the water that day. To make matters worse, another child soon became paralyzed from the waist down, and no doctor could figure out why. Of course, everyone was scared, but no one could have predicted what happened next. It all began when John Bell's brother, who lived in a neighboring county, was visited by a strange woman. She introduced herself as Kate Batts and asked him to take her to see John. But before he could do anything, she cursed him and his family and predicted that they would suffer greatly before their deaths. The brothers were confused, but they had no idea what she was talking about until she revealed that John had stolen some of her land and she wanted revenge. As it turned out, John Bell had indeed purchased some of Kate's property a few years earlier, but he had done it legally. So what could she possibly be talking about? He had paid her a fair price for the land and had no intention of taking advantage of her. But Kate was furious and claimed that John had cheated her out of her rightful money. The brothers tried to calm her down, but she wouldn't listen. She warned them that God would punish them for their actions and then disappeared. Little did they know that she had already put a curse on them and was watching from afar as they suffered. Over the next few months, the hauntings became increasingly violent. John Bell and his family were constantly harassed by shaking beds, moving objects and disembodied voices. There were even times when they heard laughter and saw apparitions moving through the house. It was clear that Kate was getting revenge on them, and nothing they did could stop her. The Bells tried everything to make the haunting stop, from praying to having priests bless their home. Nothing worked, and the longer it went on, the more tormented they became. Soon enough, the stress from the haunting took its toll on John Bell's health, and he came down with a strange illness. No doctor could treat him, and everyone believed that Kate's curse was to blame. Tragically, John Bell passed away soon after, and many believe that it was because of the witch's curse. After John Bell's death, the haunting didn't let up. In fact, it got even worse. His son, John Jr., became the target of the witch's wrath, and was tormented both physically and emotionally. One day, while walking through the woods, he was struck by a heavy object that fell from a tree. Then, when he returned home, he was shaken violently by an invisible force. Despite these terrifying experiences, he refused to give up. He continued to live on his father's farm and tried to make sense of what was happening to him. But as time went on, it became clear that the Bell Witch wasn't finished with him yet. One night, John Jr. was awakened in his bed by shaking and scratching. When he turned on his bedside lamp, he saw the horrifying apparition of an old woman hovering over him. She had a deformed face, long gray hair, and was wearing a tattered nightgown. The witch cackled maniacally at him and disappeared into the darkness. As if this wasn't enough, strange animals started appearing in the middle of the night, scratching at the doors and windows. Sometimes they would even walk through walls without making a sound. At first, John Jr. thought it might just be raccoons or possums, but he soon realized that there were far too many creatures to be just that. He felt trapped in his own home and knew that something had to change. Finally, he decided to seek help from a local minister named Reverend Thomas S. McGavick. Together, they confronted the witch and demanded that she leave him alone. The minister even read scripture from the Bible in an attempt to banish her. But the Bell Witch was not so easily defeated. She taunted them with disembodied voices and caused the room temperature to fluctuate wildly. Eventually, the minister became too frightened to continue and left. From that day on, the hauntings only got worse. John Jr. and his family were tormented day and night by unseen forces. They heard footsteps, whispers, and chains dragging metal moans. They also saw shadows moving through the house and furniture shaking violently. The witch seemed to be taunting them and relishing in their fear. Then one day, the unthinkable happened. John Jr.'s sister, Betsy, was found dead in her bedroom. The only signs of foul play were scratches on her neck and a strange odor. The family immediately suspected that the witch had taken her life, but no one could prove it. They buried Betsy on the family property and hoped that this would finally bring the hauntings to an end. But once again, they were wrong. The Bell Witch didn't care about their grief and continued to torment the family mercilessly. Even after John Jr. sold the farm and moved away, the haunting followed him. He experienced the same shaking and scratching in his new home, and the witch's disembodied voice could often be heard. Eventually, the torment became too much for him, and he reached out to Reverend McGavick for help. The minister agreed to come back and confront the Bell Witch, but he was unprepared for what happened next. As soon as he stepped foot inside John Jr.'s new house, he was attacked by an invisible force. The room temperature changed dramatically. Objects flew through the air, and chains dragged metal moans echoed through the halls. The minister was terrified and ran outside for safety, but the Bell Witch followed him and continued to torment him. After several hours of battling the supernatural entity, the minister finally gave up and fled. Over time, the intensity of the hauntings gradually decreased, but it was nearly 30 years before they completely stopped. By that time, the Bell family had suffered greatly, and many had even passed away. But the curse had not been broken. Even today, locals say that the Bell family is still haunted by the Bell Witch, and that the curse has never truly ended. Perhaps this is because the family never found a way to forgive themselves for what they did to Kate Betty's. Or maybe the witch's anger was just too great to ever be extinguished. If you want to learn more about this case, we recommend reading books such as The Bell Witch by Brent Monahan, or Ghost Story of the Bell Witch by Charles J. Shields. We also suggest watching documentaries like The Haunting of the Bell Family on Amazon Prime Video or The Bell Witch on Hulu. You can also check out websites like Atlas Obscura for more information on the Bell Witch curse and other paranormal phenomena. So what do you think of the Bell Witch curse? Do you believe that it's real or just a hoax? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to stay tuned for more scary stories and unexplained mysteries.